We have this gap in silver. We have senior producers, yet if someone's going to capture this gap, you would think there needs to be someone advancing these junior projects, a mismatch there. Although, fortunately, in terms of, would not say there are a lot of entities in position to capture that, although it's exciting because I guess you represent one of the few here. And just a quick highlight, we'll get to the financing that you just did, but Shawn, I've been sharing these updates with folks over the past couple of weeks, but it was the acquisition of the Kinscook property. Here was the Porter property, which one was this? You were so active, and I know before we started recording, you mentioned that basically you had a 6 and 2/3 X in terms of the total property size. We'll get to the drill program in a moment, but it's been great to see since the last time you were on the show that you've essentially been going down that path that you were describing before, and would love to hear what you could tell us about what you've done in the past month and a half here.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to scroll down here. There may be a map that accompanies this image right there. Um, and so this incorporates some of the acquisitions that we've made here. But look, what I'm trying to do, and if you think about the timing and the rationale when we did it, so look, we started advancing Dolly Varden about 5 years ago. You and I just met. Um, and the company was a small company that had two past producing mines in a very prolific area in Northwest BC. And today, what the company represents is we've gone through a tremendous amount of growth. We've been actively buying deposits. So when I started, we had 7,000 hectares of ground. Today, we have 100,000 hectares of prospective ground. Today, we have five past producing silver deposits within our 100% owned land package. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to identify projects that used to be great. Projects that, the greatest silver mine in the British Empire, one of Canada's greatest silver mines. I'm trying to assemble the great mines of the past because there's an old saying in mining that the best place to look for new deposits is next to old ones. And so not only are we looking at old mines, we're looking at mines that, at 85 cents a silver ounce in 1959 were not economic. But guess what? The price is no longer 85 cents. And as I talked about some of those input costs going down and the metals going up, the average silver miner today, they're all in a sustaining cost of about $20 an ounce. So with close to $40 silver, these companies, if you can start producing 10 million ounces a year, your man, you multiply that by $20 an ounce, that's a very, very, very profitable business. And and that's just factoring in $40 silver. So my point to you is what we did going back in April is we decided to list our shares on the NYSE American. And we did that because there are only 10 companies on the New York Stock Exchange that are giving investors exposure to silver. And now Dolly Varden is one of those companies. So we're open to the biggest market in the world. We've got our shares there, and then after we had more eyeballs and more buyers and more investors come into the company, the share price lifted, and we took our shares that had gone up and we used them to buy depressed assets, to buy assets for pennies on the dollar. And we went and these junior companies that are out there in the world, it's very tough times, very, very, very tough times for the juniors. And we've been very fortunate that we've had some very supportive, large institutional shareholders, people like Eric Sprott that have come and supported our business. Hecla Mining has been a big supporter of our business. And so through that shareholder support, we have gone out and we've done exploration, we've made discoveries, we've gotten very, very active acquiring these incredible past treasures and some of the richest silver mines in Canada. And And now we're in a position where we are going to close a financing and we'll have $55 million in the bank. We currently have about 28 million. We'll close this financing. We'll have north of $55 million in the bank. We've got, we just announced this one on Monday there, where, thanks to Eric Sprott's support and other institutional investors, we're adding $28.75 million to our treasury, and we're doing it at the highest price and highest terms. So, Chris, as you've got to know me over the last 5 years, there's been a tradition at Dolly Varden of up rounds, no down rounds, up rounds, right? So every financing has occurred at a higher share price. And that way, the investors that are supporting us, they're making money along the way if they choose to exit the company. They're doing it at higher and higher prices. And that's been something that's been challenging to accomplish in an environment that's been difficult. So my point to you here is the company is in a very, very strong financial position as an advanced explorer. We've got a tremendous amount of silver underneath our surface already identified, about 150 million ounces of silver equivalent, which has grown substantially since we started. We've got all these past producing mines. We've got 4 drill rigs in the field, and we're drilling and we're expanding and we're extending, and we've had a lot of success on the discovery side of the operation. We've had a lot of success in the boardroom cutting deals and growing through acquisitions, and we're one of the few companies that's out there that cares about silver. you know, I'm not a mining engineer. I'm not a geologist. I'm a precious metals enthusiast. And I'm here to build a business to give myself and my shareholders exposure to something that I think is mispriced, which is silver. And I think as it gets realized the real value of it, all the work we've done over the last 5 years will be rewarded. And I'm already seeing it. When we started, Chris, when you and I met, this was a $20 million company. It's a $400 million company today. That's impressive growth considering we've gone through a time that hasn't been very rewarding to precious metals equities. But now it's just begun. So now as the market begins, the next phase of development, the next phase of growth should be faster and more dramatic and meaningful.
Yeah, and Sean, very well said, first of all. And I think you also touched on something that is one of the questions I hear a lot from mining stock investors, where it's like, all right, if the market is depressed, shouldn't there be good deals on assets out there? And that's really what you've been doing and capturing. And in terms of, you also mentioned how some, the size of the company has grown. I remember back when we first started, I think your target back then was 50 million ounces in the ground, then you had to raise it to 100. Now you've had to raise it again. It's kind of like the banks trying to keep up with their price targets, where it said gold's going to be 3,000 and it's 3,200. Now it's 30, going to go to 35. What is the current target in your mind?
Look, for me, I'm looking up at 200 million ounces as the next target on a silver equivalent basis, and obviously hoping for much more over time and in the future. But we need to set goals that we believe that with good science and with hard work we can achieve.
Okay. And are you expecting a new resource update later this year, or anything you can say about that?
So after this year's drilling, the idea is to put out a new 43-101 compliant resource estimate and then use that document to put out a economic study.
Okay. Any timeline, or a little too soon to even venture a guess on that?
I think the first part of that equation, which is the MRE, the 43-101 compliant document, I don't see why we couldn't have it available in April, and then use that to formulate an economic study soon after.
Okay. And then just the last thing I wanted to, you touched on this a little bit, but obviously you do have the drill program ongoing. I am pulling that press release up, but I believe it's almost a month that you've been out there. If you have any thoughts, or could just, again, recap for people what you're
Yeah.
targeting in this program.
So look, we've in addition to the 150 million ounces of silver equivalent that we've identified, half silver, half gold, we're looking to expand and extend that and try to get to that 200 million ounce target. And we're going to do that through this drill program. So we currently have running 24 hours a day. We have a total of four rigs. Um, we're about 6,000 meters away into this 35,000 meter drill program. Um, Potentially at some point we may make a decision to expand the program. And all I can say is, we're going to be eager to be reporting results starting probably July, and then actively reporting results right through till Christmas.
Wow. Well, that should be a fun year, especially we'll see what happens to the silver price, but if past couple of months have been any indication, again, obviously you guys have to run a business, whether the price goes up or down, but certainly to the degree that there's people behind this and you're someone I've known and rooted for a long time to see things progressing the way they are at a time when the price is also doing well is just warms my silvery heart today. So, Shawn, could you just let folks know if they'd like to get more information? I might add you have someone that I love as well in your investor relations department. That's our dear friend Diana, who is great to talk with. Jess, could you tell people the best way to reach out? I know you got an AI tab somewhere on there. Oh, where did it go? But I know, just can you let folks know how the best way to reach you?
Yeah, listen, if you don't want to talk to us, we do have this AI chatbot that will answer all your questions, and it's quite a unique tool. And I'm happy to say we were the first company to incorporate such a feature on their website in terms of a public company. And so we've got that. But if you like to work the old-fashioned way like I do, we'd love to hear from you. We have a toll-free number. If you go into the contact tab there under menu, Chris, Diana's information, as well as all. If you just scroll down just a pinch, so her phone number, her email address, and if you'd like to schedule some time with me, a meeting, I'm happy to walk you through the presentation. So we love hearing from prospective shareholders, whether it's to talk specifically about Dolly Varden or to talk about the gold and silver market. We're in order to be successful, I think you need to be passionate about what you're doing. We love this stuff. We do it, 16 hours a day, and love sharing what we're doing. We're very active on X and other social media platforms. So, that's, please follow us, and you'll get the latest pictures and news releases. And we send out a lot of information too around our vision, our goals, what we're trying to do here. And it's very, very simple. We're trying to secure the world's silver, high grade, safe jurisdiction, it's good quality silver where, we're creating a lot of jobs for local communities in the north. And yeah, no, it's we've built a great team. We've got a great asset, and now we're looks like we're starting to come into a precious metals market.